Hey guys, this is the video, audio, whatever situation for the Algebra 1 help.org Psychology of Algebra series. I'm kind of a redneck, well, kind of southern, so you're just going to have to deal with my accent, I guess. But the whole point behind why I made the Algebra 1 help.org website to begin with was that I've taught math before. I was in this, we'll say, community college setting, and I worked as a tutor there. I would lead like small, what they call a lab group, which is, it's like a 1 credit hour class, but they meet several times a week, and it's like a study group type deal. But you basically just cover whatever had already been covered by the lead instructor. Kind of like a TA, kind of like whatever. Except I didn't grade papers or anything. And what happened is this. Like 90% of the time, and this is no exaggeration, like 90% of the time, students come into class, and we're talking about like everything from people who just got out of high school to people who, you know, were 40 and lost their job and decided to go back to school for whatever. They would tell me that the ways I was trying to teach them were better than what was going on in the classroom. And just from other things I've done in life, I really approach it, teaching algebra, in terms of what the student's going through and what types of emotional and psychological things they're having to deal with while they're trying to learn this stuff. On top of that, I also try to approach things as far as the actual math part. I try to approach things in a way that people can learn without having to memorize a bunch of stuff. Like they can, you know, they're an adult, they possess things like analysis and evaluation. They know how to think about problems, but you know, it's not like there's a special way to think about algebra. It's just that you need to learn how to apply what you already know to the rules of algebra. I mean, it's like anything else. You learn to walk, you learn to drive, you learn to do all these things based on just how you learn. If you were going to try to pick up cooking, okay, you might start off you know, learning some basic recipes, learning how to use a knife, learning how to do whatever. You're not going to memorize some set of steps over and over for just every single thing you want to do. This doesn't work like that. It's like when you learned how to do addition, you started off learning how to add two like individual digits. Like you learned how to do 5 plus 4 and what that meant and how that worked. And then you took what you already knew and you built on it, so you learned how to add two larger numbers, like you might be doing 14 plus 28. Okay, but it's still just a series of, okay, I'm going to do 4 plus 8, and then, you know, 2 plus 1 or whatever. You're not actually learning anything new. You're just learning how to take the information you already have and apply it in a different way. And that's really what algebra is. Even from day one, you should be basically taking what you already know and learning some ways to apply it. I mean, you might be picking up some new information, but as far as the thought process itself goes, it should be about the same. So that's really what drove me to do the Psychology of Algebra series. Was that last part where it's just the thought process itself. In this series, I'll cover what the purpose is, you know, like I just said. I talk about 3 big problems that happen. It's the first, it's sections 2, 3, and 4. Section 2 is about getting stuck. So when you're working on a problem and you come to a place and you can't make progress, you don't know what to do. The next part is the fear of being stupid. And that ties into just general anxiety and things like that. And this is something that I saw the most out of math. Like not really seen like English or anything do this to people. I've not even seen physics do this to people. So it was really like, I don't know, there's something about algebra and math that's a real big hurdle for people mentally. I'm not sure why it is. It just tends to be one of those things. I also cover a little bit about procrastination, because when something makes you anxious like that, or you have this perception that something's hard, or that you can't do it, or that this is the horrible thing you're going to have to grind through, and procrastination, is your body's way to fight that off. I'll talk about that a little bit. Then I go into what's probably, as far as the psychology goes, well, this my phone's vibrating. It's actually someone asking about this, because I had her read it earlier. But anyway, parts 5 and 6 talk about how you learn, and this is really, like, as far as the psychology goes, this is my favorite part. And these ideas I've applied in a lot of things. I've taught chess before. I've been involved helping coach wrestling for a little bit, and it's really, if you understand how your mind works, and you understand how efficient, like, your brain can learn if it's put in the right conditions, and then learning becomes a lot less stressful. And it's like just letting your brain do its job a little bit. If you create the right conditions, it'll do it much faster. You'll learn faster. You'll learn easier, because you won't be fighting yourself over it, basically. Then the last 7, 8, and 9 are about technique, and this is something that really has to do with psychology, but I've made it very specific to algebra. Technique in algebra is the difference between being able to do a problem based on your problem-solving skills that you already have, or being able to do a problem based on some memorized set of steps you're trying to remember from class, or that some teacher tried to explain to you, or whatever. If you just kind of learn the basic idea of how to apply what you already know, and when I say that, I mean, if you have a problem in life, you have an approach that you take to that problem. So algebra problems should not be any different, but because algebra is structured, in a very strict way, you have to really understand what the parts, the working parts are for your thought process. And I'll just cover that. I use an example of a linear equation, which is one of the most important things you learn in algebra, because it's something you can use in real life, like over and over and over. And it's just really important to have good technique if you want to learn algebra without feeling like you want to eat a bullet. 7 and 8 kind of go together, and then 9. 9 kind of goes with them. 9's a very important part of technique, but it's kind of separate. It has to do with checking your answer. The reason it's separate is because it's something that a lot of people know they should do, but they don't, and there are a lot of reasons for that. But the way I want to approach it is that it's just a part of technique. It's something you should do. It's almost like cheating in a way. It really gives, if you take two people who have, let's say one of them is slightly better at math than the other, but the one who's slightly worse checks their answer every time, then the one who's worse is going to make a much better grade. It's just how it works. Imagine you're taking a test. I think I used this example in the writing, actually. But imagine you're taking a test, and you get a chance to ask your teacher after you take the test, but before you turn in your test, you ask your teacher, you say, okay, I need you to show me which one of these problems are right and which ones are wrong. And what if your teacher just went through and kind of like showed you, okay, numbers 1, 5, and 7 are wrong, and then you get to go back and try to do them right again. That's what checking your answer does. It shows you which ones are right, and it gives you a chance to do it again, so you're just automatically going to get better grades over that. But kind of a side effect of this is you get to go back and try to figure out where you went wrong. And it can be simple mistakes, like you went from one step to another and didn't write down a negative, or you wrote the number incorrectly, or just something dumb. It doesn't really have anything to do with how good you are at algebra, but it's still going to affect your grade. And that's not fair. I mean, you shouldn't be graded on whether or not you remembered to write a negative. You see what I'm saying? So it prevents that. So anyway, that's just what we got going on. So I'm going to end this recording.